Southern-bred, Southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the junkyard dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Tide and Tiger Land, nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Testosterone high today.
Yeah, Tom's a man, he's got the plan, he's really got it made. What a wife he's got, she's smoking hot, check out the junkyard babe. When everything is said and done, no one can beat his show. He's a high-tech redneck, Tony Soprano. If you love sports without the fluff, he's got the master plan. Cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham, yeah.
I guess I'm on here, am I on? If somebody responds.
Oh, yes, Coach, we are on, and it is our Reaction Monday in the Doghouse. We have got a busy 2 hours for you today. I got to tell you, there's no chance that we get this all in. I mean, I easily could do a 4-hour show today. I could do a 5-hour show today. I do not want to do a 4-hour show today or a 5-hour show or a 3-hour show. I'm just saying I could do that. I used to do a 5-hour show, and I used to do a 4-hour show, and I used to do a 3-hour show. And now I do a 2-hour show. And I'm happy about that. I'm just saying. Luckily, we got all week to get to this stuff, but a lot of it, I like to get it all put to bed by Tuesday usually. And then by Wednesday, I like to be kind of looking forward. But, man, we got so much to react to. So just look, it's a busy show. Mondays are like this all season long. They're busy. So sit back and relax. We will get the phones open here off the top of the hour, hopefully. And then we'll get them open again later on in the show. But there's a lot of ground to cover. I'm just saying that right now. I don't want you to be upset when we have so much to cover. And we're going to get to it as much as possible. Now, if you know what you want to talk about, the phone lines are open right now. 256-576-4977. You can also text the show at 732-9TA-SHOW. 732-982-7469. A great way to communicate with us. My Twitter feed is at Thom Abraham Show. The station's feed is at 97.7 ESPN. We are also on the Facebook and the Twitter where you can watch the show on 97.7 ESPN. You can watch it on Twitch and YouTube at WZZN TV. Follow on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube, get the notifications. Go to 97.7ESPN.com, our website, to get links to all of that. While you're at it, get both of our apps, the Zone app and the Blitz app. Because there at the Zone app, you can find links to Zone 2, 3, and 4 as well, all our alternate streaming channels for more great programming. And on the Blitz app, you can get the Recruiting Blitz, the Afternoon Blitz, more ESPN radio when we are in local shows. If you want to listen to some national stuff, it's over there on the Blitz. Now, coming up on Friday night, Buckhorn is off this week. But Randolph, 3-1 now, is at unbeaten Westminster Christian in a huge game. So that will be on the air with Austin Coletti and Drew DeArmond. While Madison Academy is on Zone 2 at home against Danville with Steve Moulton and Glenn Laird. As always, the Woody Anderson Ford North Alabama Scoreboard Show with Scott Tyson will begin on the Blitz at 8:30 and then move to the air after the Randolph game. Now, coming up in a few minutes, Tom Luginbill of ESPN joins us. He had the Penn State game on Saturday against Ohio, so he has a good feel for the team that will be on the Plains Saturday. Plus, we'll get his take on a wild Saturday that saw the Sun Belt go into College Station and South Bend, Indiana, and get wins. I mean, what does this say about Appy State and Marshall? Or what does it say about Texas A&M and Notre Dame? Marcus Freeman is the first Notre Dame coach in history to lose his first 3 games with the Irish. But they've only been playing football 135 years. So there's that. The Domers are also the 3rd team this century to begin the year in the AP Top 5 and open 0-2. Florida State did it in 2017. Remember that? That's when Alabama broke their quarterback, DeAndre Francois, the day they opened that new stadium in Atlanta, that Mercedes-Benz Stadium thing. And then Michigan did it in 2007 Was that the year?
Snaps good. The whole
I think that was that year. The first time we ever heard of Appalachian State, when they were an FCS team. Now they just walked into Texas A&M.
snaps good. The whole
They didn't even need to do that. They just went into Texas A&M and just beat the snot out of them, really. I mean, the score wasn't even as indicative as to what they did to Texas A&M. How many times did Drew say dirt neck this morning? The over and under was 7 or 8, and that is way low. That's all? In my ear, they whispered 3. Not buying that. Really? Only 3 times? Wow. I would think he was said 3 times during the recruiting blitz yesterday. Or today, this morning's recruiting blitz. Over there on the blitz. At the top of the 11, Joey Blackwell from BamaCentral.com is in for his weekly visit. He'll be joining us.
Huh?
Yeah. Visit. Off of Alabama's less than spectacular win in Austin. I was concerned all week about that environment for Alabama. Remember, I kept saying it over and over again. It's going to start slow. I thought Alabama would pull away in the second half. They couldn't. They don't make a lot of non-conference trips to big-time programs. But look, let me tell you something. It will be like that at LSU. It will be like that at Tennessee. It will be like that at Arkansas. There's no excuse. The 15 penalties were an all-time high in the Saban era and one short of the all-time school record. What's worse is that 10 of the penalties were on defense. That's when the crowd is quiet. How are you doing lining up off sides? Over and over again. Multiple unforced errors. But get this. You know how many penalties they had in the fourth quarter? 0. In crunch time, 0. So you know what that tells me? That this was a concentration issue, a focus issue. They had 3 false starts in the first possession at all alone, and only had 1 more offensive penalty the entire game. Discipline is not often an issue on a Nick Saban team, but it was in this one. And it didn't end when the game ended. As Saban had to scream at a few classless players who were making the horns down sign at the end of the game. Who the hell are you giving them the horns down? You needed a field goal to beat them 20-19. And you're throwing horns down?
I don't understand what's so hard to understand.
I mean, they just not putting up with that. Now, the good news is they won. And many of the problems are correctable. Those of you that, are tired of murder ball, there you go. Actually, Captain Cool was watching the game with me, and he said at one point in time, this is kind of interesting watching Alabama play a game like this. It gets boring watching them just blow everybody out. I'm like, really? This is stressing me a little bit. Many of these problems are correctable. One issue was the play calling and the lack of commitment to the running game. 24 total runs in a game, 7 of which were Bryce Young scrambles. So that's 17 total called running plays for 127 yards. And look, the more you do it, the more chance that you're going to have of someone housing one like Jason McClellan did. You know what I mean? You got a better chance of that happening. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs might have taken one to the – you got to commit to it. 17 called run plays, 46 called pass plays. Is that who they are? Jermaine Burton. I sent that dude back to Georgia. Jermaine Burton had just 2 catches for 10 yards after being so highly touted coming in. Let me tell you something. That dude's no Jamison Williams. There seems to be no real top-end speed out there on this team. as Joel Klatt told us 1, 2, or 50 times. They got nobody to take the top off the defense. They got nobody to take the top off. I mean, would you do one? Did you come up with one note for the game, Joel? I think Joel Klatt came up with one note for the game in his prep. Oh, you got nobody to take the top off the defense. Whether they got anybody to take the top off the defense or not, 2 catches for 10 yards for Jermaine Burton. Yeah. How about Will Anderson's weird day? Twice early on, he lines up offsides. Just lines up offsides. Then he gets a 15-yarder for a late hit on a running back who had fallen and gotten up, and he says he was thinking about the NFL rule? I mean, was he pulling somebody's leg when he said that? He was thinking about the NFL rule. Huh? You know, where the guy needs to be touched down. What? You're not in the NFL yet. He did get his first sack of the season, finally. Overall, the defense did a great job on Bijan Robinson, Texas' stud running back. Robinson had just 57 yards and 21 carries. One of them was an 18-yarder. So on the other 20 carries, he had 39 yards. That's less than 2 yards a carry. I'm no math major, but that's how that comes out. He had that one 18-yarder. That was it. But they were beat deep a couple of times before Quinn Ewers got hurt. And let me just say this. I thought that was a flag for intentional grounding. When they dropped the flag, I thought they threw a flag for intentional grounding. And he just airmailed it through the back of the end zone on purpose, obviously, which is intentional grounding. When you're under duress. I didn't think it was a roughing the passer. I don't know how you get off the guy in midair. I mean, they say because he landed on the guy with his full weight and he hit the guy. He hit him just as he was throwing, and then he landed on top of him. What are you supposed to do? Go Matrix? And somehow levitate off of the guy? You go full Matrix? How do you get off that dude? In midair, once you've committed to the hit. I also don't know what the hell happened on that safety, which should have been a safety against Bryce Young. Apparently, well, he wasn't down. Okay? It turns out he wasn't down. He was being flipped over on his head, and he wasn't down. So he kind of flung the ball sideways. Isn't that intentional grounding? I guess if you're going down, maybe it's not. I don't know. And then they said they called roughing. I mean, I don't know what the heck went on that play. Let me tell you what, that should have been a safety. Just saying. Hey, this officiating crew struggled. All right, then after Joey, Auburn captain, tight end John Samuel Schenker will join us, courtesy of Valley Equipment Rental. Schenk had 3 catches for 39 yards, all in the first half, including a 10-yarder on 4th and 4 and a 20-yarder down to the 7-yard line on Auburn's first scoring drive, which was in the second quarter, as they kind of struggled to put away San Jose State. But he also had 3 penalties in that game. He had a low block, a block in the back, and a hold. They went for the trifecta there. Grizz has got a funny look on his face because he's hearing what I'm hearing, which is me in my headphones. Something weird going on in our headphones. I could tell by the look on his face. I had that little weird thing like I'm hearing me, and then I'm like, I wonder what Grizz is hearing because he has this strange look on his face too. Let's get him in the show.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. That Tom. Hey, Tom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. All right? It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Grizzalicious, how you doing today?
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere. So we got to keep on pushing through and being resilient.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was pain. I feel pain. Other than watching Alabama come by, squeak by with a close one with the horns down, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It was absolutely miserable.
Sunday pain.
Yeah, it was absolutely
Sunday pain.
miserable as an Atlanta Falcons fan to sit there and watch. Once again, 26-10 with 11 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
And Marcus Mariota fumbles the ball on 3rd and 1 with 1:45 left in the game. Fumbles the ball 2 times. Well, 1 time in the red zone. They get it back. Get a field goal out of the 2 red zone tries. With basically, it was deep into the 4th quarter. I mean, you had every chance to win that game, and the defense once again just floundered. But, hey, Matt Ryan tied and threw an interception, so it was probably Matt Ryan's fault.
Yeah.
We'll just blame it on Matt Ryan. It was Matt Ryan.
It was unbelievable. I got
that
all
defense
kinds of
was
notes
disgusting.
on the NFL, too. Yeah, it was only late. I mean, they controlled the game for 3 quarters. For 3 quarters. I'm sitting there like, I picked the Falcons. Yeah, I like the 5.5. I like the 5.5. I'm feeling good there. By the way, in Beat the Big Dog, after I started out 0-3, I rallied to go 3-0 down the stretch with Kentucky, Atlanta, and the Miami Dolphins. So Crimson Carl and I tied at 3-3. Grizz had the best day. He went 4-2. So good job by Grizz. All right, let me get a couple of calls in here because it's a slam day throughout the day. So let's get started with Grumpy. Grumpy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, man, I'll be brief. I just wanted to say that a bad day for the SEC is a good day for college football, and I'm an SEC fan. A lot more of the country does get excited when it's a close game against an SEC team. That missed face mask in the 4th quarter, when Alabama face masked their running back going around the right side on the 8-yard line, would have gave Texas a 1st and goal on the 4 or 5. I thought that was, the game's the game. Alabama won the game. The mugging, the first field goal Texas kicked, the play before that, the player was being absolutely mugged and they didn't call pass interference. Once again, I think Alabama would probably win the game if they played again. But as far as these penalties go, without those penalties, Tom, Alabama would have lost the ball game.
Yeah, I mean they missed 2 or 3 pass interference.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. Without those 15 penalties that Alabama had, Alabama would have lost the ball game.
Why would they have lost the ball game if they hadn't committed 15 penalties?
Those 15 penalties was worth, as far as the ball game goes, the roughing the passer that put the starting quarterback out that would have won the ball game. Without those 15 penalties, if Alabama had no penalties all game, they would have lost.
Because you think that Quinn Ewers
dropping dimes.
Yeah, but we can't anticipate that he would have had it.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of sports.
You're saying that one penalty.
I mean?
Yeah, that one penalty. But when that happened, I thought it was a intentional
you're
grounding.
an Alabama fan. I already know what you're going to say. That's
but wait a minute. Did you really think
this whole matrix thing? I played football. This whole matrix thing. No. If I come up to the studio right now and I tackle you or you tackle me, if your body weight's going to come down on me.
What do you do?
Put all your body weight on.
Really? What do you do?
Why is it a penalty then? In the NFL and college football.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's maddening. But it's maddening in both the NFL and college football when these guys initiate that hit when the ball is just being thrown. Once that hit is happening,
but time doesn't start then. That's a trick question. You got a bar trick question there. Your tackle doesn't start then. I mean, you know what you're doing. You've got control. Are you responsible for your hockey stick at all times? Yes. I mean, you don't start a tackle halfway through the tackle. You start a tackle before the tackle.
Right, but the guy still was releasing the ball when he hit him. Now you're in contact. But once you're in contact,
all of his body weight on and messed up the guy's shoulder. That's the reason why it's a penalty, is because everyone except the home fans thinks that it's controllable, because it is.
I don't think you can control your body in the air. Yeah, come on.
Silly.
Once you start the hit, how do you
Don't
do
be
that?
dishonest with your listeners. That's
I'm
silly.
saying, how do you listen? Did I say it was a safety? I said it was the safest. I don't understand that
We're
call.
not even talking about the same plays. I'm talking about
I understand
when
it.
the quarterback got hurt.
I understand it, but in every game when a quarterback gets hit like that, in every game, whether I got a team in the battle or not, every game that I see a quarterback get hit by a guy and they say he then landed on him, I say, how in the hell do you get off of him? How do you get off of him in midair?
In every game they don't do. They made it a penalty for a reason.
I think it's a BS penalty.
Listen. Name a penalty in college football where you can get a penalty without some type of action that you shouldn't have done.
I don't even know what that means.
Intentional hands to the face. Because like half the time, when defensive line and offensive line are going at each other, what happens? A lot of times there's an unintentional like hands to the face, which is absolutely just like one of the dumbest calls that you could really call. Because they're trying to get by a block, and a lot of times that's what it is.
Now, the reason they call it unintentional so you don't get ejected from the game. That's why they have to stick the word unintentional in there.
I'm going to ask Luke what he thinks about that. I think once the hit is initiated, you're going to land on top of the guy. It's happening in a second.
I think it was a clean hit.
Do me a favor then. Do me a favor. Pose that question where you're not trying to.
I'm going to ask him flat. I'm going to say, what do you think about this when the guy makes the hit and he lands on a guy?
No voice inflections.
No inflection. No voice inflection.
No, just ask him his comment or what he thinks about the play without setting it up.
I'll ask him. All right. Let me get Wolverine.
Clean hit.
It was a good hit.
Clean hit.
Let me get Wolverine Dan in here. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, I'm doing quite well. But Grumpy, I agree with Grumpy, man. When I played ball, man, I could pile drive somebody in the ground, and that's exactly what happened to that quarterback.
I don't think he pile drives him. I think he just lands on him.
No,
I think he's in the hit and just lands on him.
Hey, it doesn't really matter. Bottom line is that Nick looked like crap after the game. And I'm going to tell you why he looked like crap, because he was carrying about 25 horseshoes in his back pocket, a couple of rabbit's feet in the front, and a rosemary. Jeez, what a lucky sucker.
He looked. It's the first time I've seen him look old.
They were awful. All right, and you got lucky. You should give that kicker from Texas some kind of a gift certificate. Speaking of that, I didn't win a gift certificate, but I did come home with a trifecta, baby.
You did get a trifecta point. Both you and Plainsman Preston pick up a point because he picked whatever you picked. See, he just won.
Badger Larry won the whole thing.
Yeah, Badger. Well, actually, he did, but I made a mistake when I sent them an email. There was two guys tied, so I gave them each a gift certificate. Is what I ended up doing because Paul Cook.
It's supposed to be anyway.
Yeah, him and Paul Cook tied. Yeah.
All right, so let's get on the real and more important things. First off, let's talk about the Michigan Wolverine win, baby. Okay, here we go. 6 more, half a dozen sacks from
Hawaii.
This week, last week. That's a 13-sack parlay, baby.
Why?
J.J. McCarthy is going to be your quarterback for Michigan. Average 19.1 yards per pass, 3 TDs, quarterback rating of 99.2. Hey, Tom, here, check this out, okay?
Why?
Possession. They had 32. We had 27.
Why?
Strike. And speaking of that, Tom, here's a guy that you're going to have to worry about because it's going to be in the playoffs. His name is Ronnie Bell. The guy is unbelievably fast. You got nobody like that on Alabama. You can't cover this guy, okay?
Hawaii.
Give me a break.
Hawaii.
You guys are so homers.
Wait a minute. Vanderbilt beat Hawaii by 60. Vanderbilt, who got killed this weekend, they beat Hawaii by 60. Come on.
Look
it's Hawaii.
At you barely inched out a victory. You got lucky.
Who's me? What are you talking about? You talking about Alabama?
Alabama and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame sucks.
You must forget that.
Notre Dame is pathetic. But Alabama was playing at Texas. See, they weren't playing Hawaii at home. Hawaii.
Okay. All right.
It's Hawaii. You know what, though?
You should
next
beat
week,
everybody by 7 to 10 points, okay?
Next week.
Everybody's got your number. You know what team you got to worry about? It's Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Next week will be a tough one, though, because you got UConn. Oh, wait a minute. It's not basketball. It's UConn football, which got destroyed by Syracuse. So you go.
Well, who do you got next week?
Sisters of the Poor.
Okay.
That's true.
Tom, you know what it is, brother.
But I won't be talking about how great they are based on them beating Sisters of the Poor next week. You know what I mean? I won't even talk about it. It won't be in the trifecta. I won't even talk about what they do next week because it's meaningless what they do against ULM.
I told my grandson, I said, you skated with one because he's a Bama fan.
Yeah.
And I said, you can change now. And you know what? He's a great coach, probably the best ever, but he don't look good, dude. I don't think he's going to finish.
It was the first time. Thanks for the call, Wolverine Dan. I appreciate it. That's a good job by you. It was the first time that Saban looked a little old to me. I'll be honest with you. He looked old. Might have been the sunlight, but he looked old. Might want to start wearing that straw hat on the sideline. All right, we're going to break. When we come back, Tom Luginbill. Right here on the Tom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tom Luginbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Hey there, folks. Head fry cook Bob Baumhauer here, and I just want to say thank you for allowing Baumhauer's Victory Grill to serve you for 40 legendary years. When I first delivered Alabama's first taste of buffalo wings back in 1981, people thought I was crazy. For the first few years, I had to give wings away. Imagine that. 40 years later, I'm still proud to serve the great people and visitors of Alabama our famous buffalo wings and much more. Here's to 40 years of legendary fun, legendary food, and many, many more.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
When you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get great savings and round-the-clock protection, which is as beautiful as looking your firstborn child in the eyes for the first time. Well, that's a bit much. Maybe it's more like looking your second-born child in the eyes for like the third or fourth time. Point being, the savings and round-the-clock protection are really, really magical.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Be sure and join us today from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Wow, what a contentious open to the show. First two callers. All over me. Contentious open. Like it. Why Overreaction Monday is the best. Segment of the show is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford. At Woody Anderson Ford, you can get your service done no matter what kind of vehicle you got. When you see those beautiful service lanes and you see the pride that they take in their shop, you're going to know that, you know what? If they take that kind of pride in their shop, they're going to take that kind of pride in getting your vehicle fixed right. Woody Anderson Ford. Make your appointment today. Joining us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. He was on the Penn State-Ohio game. He will be on Ole Miss at Georgia Tech this week. He is, of course, Thom Luginbill. Lugs, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing on this fine Monday morning?
Man, oh, man alive. I could go 5 hours today. I mean, and that's just on the college stuff. I mean, it is just absolutely nuts. All right, I need to get your opinion on something. Now, I know this happened while you were doing your game. I would assume that maybe you had an opportunity to go back and watch at least the highlight package on the Alabama-Texas game. Is that true or not?
I've watched the whole game. Yeah.
Okay, so you've seen the Alabama-Texas game. All right, I just want your opinion now. I'm asking this right now. I got to ask this with no inflection in my voice or whatnot. We see this call, this roughing the passer call, in various games where a hit is initiated, not helmet to helmet or targeting or anything like that, but where they call this hit where the tackle starts and then the guy lands on the guy. And then they say, he landed on the guy with his full weight. What is your take on that call? Is that an appropriate call? Do you like that call or do you dispute that kind of a call?
I don't like it because I don't think it takes account of the actual physical force and momentum that is involved in not only the initiation of the hit, but the completion of the hit. You don't just stop, all right, and all of a sudden drop the guy or go backwards. That's not how momentum works. That's not how force works. And listen, I understand. I get it. We're trying to. We want to make sure everybody's safe, and I get that. I'm cool with that. But at some point, we have to have some recognition that this is the sport of football, and there is an inherent risk when you play it, and you could get hurt every single time you take the field. And let's not forget, there's a reason why we limit hits during the practice and tackling during the practice. All right, I get that. But that is what makes tackling and hitting even more difficult and undisciplined during the course of a game because it's one of the most important things in the game of football, and you can't practice it during the week.
I thought it was a clean hit. I'll be honest with you. I thought the flag was for grounding. I thought they were going to call him for intentional grounding for airmailing it through the back of the end zone, on purpose to avoid the sack. And when they said a flag was not, I said, they're going to call grounding. And when I looked at it over and over and over again on the hit, I was like, I don't know what else you do. Having coached defensive line, I don't think people also fully understand your vision when you're going in and you're making that hit and the guy's in the act of throwing. You don't know if he's pulling it back down. You can't see it like we see it on TV. You're in the process of trying to hit the quarterback thinking you're sacking him. And I don't know once you initiate how you don't land on top of him. This isn't like you buck your body and intentionally pile drive him into the ground. That was just the finish of the hit. Are you supposed to levitate off of the guy? I don't know how you do that in midair. It's a split second.
I agree. I didn't think there was anything malicious. I didn't think there was any intention to actually go out and harm somebody. Anything. I saw none of that. So I don't know. It's odd to me.
Now, if Quinn Ewers stays in the game, it obviously aids. There's a reason he's the starting quarterback there at Texas. Is it too simplistic to say, though, that if Quinn Ewers stays in the game, Texas wins the football game? I mean, what would you take there?
I mean, Maybe. I mean, I obviously he was playing well, and the problem is Hudson Card is banged up.
Yeah.
He can't do the thing that he does best, and that's use his legs and run around and all of those sorts of things. So he was a little bit he was a little bit hampered too, which, you know, I think he could have played better had he been at full strength and full health. So, you know, I that probably is a fair statement as well. But here's the thing, and you and I have talked about this many, many times when people ask me, well, how are you supposed to beat Alabama? How are you supposed to beat Georgia, right? Well, you need to play your absolute best, and that other team, like in Alabama, needs to do something to help you. And what did Alabama do? They committed 15 penalties.
15. Yeah.
Their first two plays of the game were penalties. The kickoff and then the very next offensive play. So It's like, you know, at some point or another, and I thought Texas did a fairly good job of taking advantage of some of those miscues, but if Alabama doesn't play well or makes mistakes, then Texas is good enough to be in the game with them. And Texas or Alabama did things that are fairly uncharacteristic to their nature.
Actually had 3 false starts in their first series in that game, and then only one other penalty on the offense. So really, and that's when the crowd is going crazy. What was even more disturbing for Alabama and their lack of discipline was the fact that they had 10 penalties on defense, which are not crowd related. You know, because the crowd's quieter for the offense. Texas offense is on the field. And you got Will Anderson lining up off sides, back-to-back plays. You got him committing a personal foul, hitting a guy that he said that for a moment he thought it was the NFL rule where the guy could get back up, and he nailed the guy. And it was like, what? I thought maybe he's joking when he said that, but that's what he said. But you know, you had several interference calls, and you had several that weren't called that should have been called. I mean, there were a few that were worse than the ones that they did call in that game. It was really uncharacteristic, the lack of discipline there. But then you look at the fourth quarter, not one penalty, which to me says that's focus and concentration. How is it that all of a sudden, after committing 15 penalties in 3 quarters, that you go into the fourth quarter, crunch time, you don't commit a penalty? Did we lose Thom? We lost Thom. That was a great question, too. It's one of my better questions. By the way, the text window is on fire. I got to ask him about Joe Klatt. I will ask him about that. I wonder if he watches with the sound or without the sound. Danny T says he's had it with Joe Klatt. He said he turned the TV off in the middle of the second quarter. All right. It was a great question, Thom.
It was.
15 penalties in 3 quarters, and then you don't commit a penalty in the fourth quarter. What do you think?
I don't know how to explain it other than to say when you're a championship level team with high caliber players and it comes down to it and you got to make a play, they decided to you know, set up as a team, pitch their tent and band together. That's the only way to really explain it. And they've been in situations like that before far more than Texas has ever been.
Yeah. All right, Thom Luginbill with us here. All right, when you watch these games on the replay later on and doing your study and so on, are you watching the TV feed with the sound? Are you watching the All-22? What did you watch it on? How did you watch it?
Well, that game I watched the TV feed because I was still in State College and I was getting ready for my Sunday radio show, and so I didn't have the college film available to me like I have on Sundays. So on that particular, that's what I was doing on that particular one.
Yeah, well, I think Joel Klatt had one note in his preparation. I think he prepped for the game for a week and had one note, and that one note was that Alabama had nobody to take the top off the defense, because he said it 16,000 times that Alabama had no speed. And I'm sure Joel's a fine guy. I don't know him, but I mean, my God, come up with something else. We get that. Now, it was corroborated in a story I read at AL.com. There were 2 NFL scouts there that said this Alabama team's got no speed, in its wide receiving core, which is unusual. What was your take on that? Because this whole, the Burton kid had 2 catches for 10 yards. It didn't seem like they were even trying to get the ball deep downfield, and there wasn't a lot of separation downfield. Is that a real thing? Does that create a real problem for Alabama? Are they lacking what they've had in the past, which is a guy that can go downfield?
Maybe a little. I still think it's really early and maybe somewhat premature to make that statement. But I mean, do they have a bunch of Jerry Judys and Amari Coopers and Jalen Waddles and some of those guys running around right now? Calvin Ridley? Maybe they don't as a collective group, and we've just all become so spoiled and conditioned to assume that they do have it. That if they don't on some given day, then it becomes magnified.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so you had Penn State against Ohio, and they were efficient in the kind of just dismantling of Ohio. Watched some of that game, bouncing back and forth. Penn State will be on the Plains next week. Auburn was unimpressive in their win over San Jose State. Finally, trailed at the half there. And Penn State enters as a small favorite in that game. From what you've seen of Penn State and what you know of Auburn on tape, the old if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. It seems like that might be a case there. I don't know. But what's your take on the Penn State visit to the Plains?
Well, Penn State's going to be the better football team, in my opinion. But they have one area that I think is problematic, is they're not very good in the offensive line right now. I think this is a big, big, big game for Auburn's defensive front. Their defensive front has to really, really show up because the offensive line is not good enough right now at Penn State to just push people around. Now, the freshman running back, Nick Singleton, is a difference maker. I mean, he is a premier player, and he has to create a lot of opportunities on his own. But if Sean Clifford stays clean, that's going to be a problem for Auburn because it means that Auburn's not getting home versus an offensive line that I think they should be able to be fairly successful being disruptive against. I love where Penn State's going on defense. Manny Diaz has come in there, and they've created a lot of exotic looks, a lot of pressure packages. I think if they don't believe the Auburn quarterback can make plays, they will harass him the entire night. And so it's going to come down to, do they believe that the Auburn quarterback, whoever it may be, can truly hurt them? And if not, then you're going to see Penn State pressure the heck out of them.
They got to get our guy, John Samuel Schenker, who joins us every Monday after you. They got to get him more involved because, he had 3 catches for 39 yards in this game. They never threw it at him in the second half. It seems to be one of the best things they got is going down the middle of the field, but for some reason they go away from it.
Yeah, and listen, they're a team to me that is if you're going to play with who they're playing with at quarterback, don't you kind of know what you have? Mm-hmm. Like, and so does everybody else, right? There's no mystery as to what they are, which I think really kind of hampers their approach because you almost seem like they're coaching to avoid a turnover or coaching to avoid a mistake instead of tacking and getting after people. And again, that's just one person's opinion. I could be way off base there.
I would go with Robbie Ashford. I mean, I would ride with that kid and let's get him ready because you know what you got in TJ Finley.
We know what Finley is.
Yeah. He's not changing. And Ashford, the more every snap he gets is that much more experience. There's no doubt about it. And it was one of the curious things of all of college football as I watched, you watch some play calling and it seems like sometimes the guys get married to their, to whatever it is that they had in their game plan. I mean, Alabama, they called 17 run plays and 46 pass plays in that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know one went out the door, but, the more you do it, every once in a while, you're going to pop one of those every once in a while.
Right.
And they had some really good, and they just abandoned it. And I'm like, what is Bill O'Brien doing? I mean, at 40, that the way they want to play football? You saw some of the same stuff with Notre Dame, with some of these Texas A&M. It's like, I don't understand some of the decisions that these guys make. They go away from something that has some success in it.
Well, and what it ended up doing is it probably ended up making Alabama's offensive line look worse than it actually is, right? And because you expose yourself every time you drop back to throw it, you're always going to expose yourself to some level of danger. Now, I'll give Texas credit, Tom. That was a team that did not step on the field scared. They did not step on the field worried. They attacked. They pressured. It was almost like, well, if we're going to lose to these guys, we're going to go down swinging. We're not going to be lying down. And I actually appreciated the approach, and it almost won the game for them.
I love what Steve Sarkisian said too. Is that he felt like I feel like we have to play well because I don't want to disappoint Nick Saban, the guy that gave him the shot. I love what Texas did in that game, and it's too bad Quinn Ewers are going to be out for the next 3 or 4 weeks because I think that they really are building something. I am glad that the AP put them in the poll. I said, boy, you know what? They ought to go up in the poll and get in the top 25 off of losing to Alabama by 1 point. Sure enough, they came out at 21. But I would have done the same thing that the AP did. To be honest with you, I'd put Georgia 1. Alabama's not number 1 right now. I would put Georgia number 1 right now if I was if I had.
I would too.
Yeah,
I would too. I agree with that. I think a lot of people would, to be honest with you. And again, it's right now you can't put Clemson in the top 2 or 3 because offensively they're not good enough right now. So yeah, I think that's fair. And that's what we've seen through the first 2 weeks, right? That's all you can go off of. Is what we've seen through the first 2 weeks.
Who's in more trouble, Jimbo Fisher or Marcus Freeman? By the way, no Notre Dame coach has ever started out losing his first 3 games, and they have. They're 17-point. Well, they were a 17-point favorite. Now they're a 10-point favorite against Cal this week. But it's either one of those guys start to feel the heat. Not Scott Frost heat, where they're going to be whacked here in the next week or two. But which one of those guys is in big trouble?
I would probably say Jimbo more so than Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman's just starting out, nowhere near. I mean, yes, are there expectations in South Bend? Yes, but all of the off-season hype, all of the recruiting talk and the recruiting signing class talk and things of that nature. And it wasn't just that they lost to App State, Tom. It's how they lost to App State. I mean, that team came in there and ran the ball down their throat.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. I mean, it really was.
It feels like that if they were still playing that game, App State's still leading. It wasn't like freaky.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they blocked that kick against Michigan, in 2007. I mean, this is a totally different deal, and it was that was kind of a stunning result. And Marshall too. I mean, this is good for college football, I would say. But as we embark on this run up now to the new playoff, I'm not sure what this is telling me. These are 2 Sun Belt teams that went into College Station in South Bend and got wins. I mean, maybe we do need to kind of open up this window a little bit more and say, these kids can all play football.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's an any given Saturday scenario, and you also forgot about Georgia Southern out of the Sun Belt. They go right into Lincoln and cost a guy his job. And so, I mean, I do think that you're always going to have those moments, those times where it's going to work. You have that one afternoon, things go into your favor, and it just plays out that way. But I don't know if you would have that every single week.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you would.
Finally, Matt Campbell is being talked about for that Nebraska job. Apparently, he's interested in that. If you're Matt Campbell, you can put together one more good year at Iowa State. Aren't there better jobs than Nebraska for you to be looking at? Don't you think other people come? His name was being bandied about last year.
Sure.
There could be some better jobs than that. I mean, he needs to kind of cool his jets on the Nebraska thing, don't you think? Or
yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere near that job. I don't think it's a good job. I mean, they got resources, they've got money, they've got history, they've got tradition. They have no access to players, and I think that's the issue now. It needs somebody like a Lance Leipold or a Matt Campbell or a Jeff Monk at Army. It needs that type of guy. I think that's where that program is right now, and somebody that can build and develop a program. But the challenge is going to be the same. I mean, everybody talks about the Nebraska job, and I counter with this. You take every premier coach at the job that they're at right now, would they leave it and take the Nebraska job?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Ryan Day's not leaving Ohio State to go to Nebraska.
Right.
Dabo Swinney's not leaving Clemson to go to Nebraska. I mean, it's how good a job actually is it?
That's a great point. Yeah, at this point in time, it's going to be one of those places where, unfortunately, I think it's going to go into the history books, and the Nebraska of the 90s is not there anymore. Thom Luginbill has been our guest. Lugs had got Ole Miss and goes back to Atlanta for Georgia Tech this week. That's going to be kind of an interesting game for Ole Miss, just to kind of measure where they're at, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. I think they've got 2 really good quarterbacks in Luke Altmaier and Jackson Dart. I don't know where they're at on defense yet, and they don't either. I mean, you're playing Central Arkansas and Troy the first couple of weeks. I mean,
right.
That's not a fair assessment. So we're going to find out a little bit more about them because you're on the road playing another Power 5 team, so we'll see what Georgia Tech can come up with.
Yeah, and my Michigan fan wants to talk about Michigan all the time, but I'm not talking to him about Michigan. Not with Hawaii and UConn and Colorado State. No, I mean, I don't care. I don't care if they have 1,000,000% completion percentage and they run the ball for 800 yards. And I don't care. It's Hawaii, for God's sake. They got beat by 60 by Vanderbilt, and we saw what we saw Wake Forest did. The Vandy. So I mean, come on, get out of here with that. I don't want to know nothing as long as you're playing that kind of a schedule. All right, man. I appreciate you. Have fun in Atlanta. It's nice close ride for you. I know that. That's
absolutely good. 2 and 3 weeks. I love it.
Nice. All right, man. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Luke lives in Charlotte, for those of you that don't know. So Atlanta is right around the corner. All right, we're going to break. We'll come back and set you up for hour number 2 right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Your favorite sports book, BetUS.com, is back for their 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers their members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including college football and the NFL. They've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest European slots, and their live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. Sign up at BetUS.com and use the promo code WZZN. That's BetUS.com and the promo code WZZN.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Do you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in, trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from, and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan Spartman, hope to see you soon.
4 Heisman Trophy winners,
33 Southeastern Conference championships, 18 national championships. Hi, this is Chris Stewart of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The second of the show is brought to you by BetUS.com. BetUS.com has, really the nation's best sign-up bonus, a 200% sign-up bonus right now at BetUS.com as they enter their 28th year of NFL action. When you go to BetUS.com, use the promo code WZZN. That's WZZN to get the best deals at BetUS.com. And you can do college football there. You can bet the NFL. You can bet baseball, which does not work on its way into the show today. I'm just telling you. All right, do I have a chance to get Garrett in? Chris, can I do it? Okay. Let me get Garrett in here. He sounds like a new dude to the show. Garrett, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm just fine. How are you, Tom?
Fantastic. You a first-timer, Garrett, on this show?
I believe I am.
Woo! There we go. We're going to break out Ric Flair for you there. Got to get the Nature Boy in there. So what's going on, man?
Well, I just wanted to call in and clarify a few things.
Yeah.
First thing is on the roughing call against us when we tackled the quarterback and he got hurt.
Yeah.
There's a few things that go into that. The first couple of things is roughing is if you hit the quarterback in the head or neck area, it doesn't matter if it's with your foot, your head, or your rear end.
Right.
If you hit him in the neck area, it's roughing. I want you to remember that for a later thing I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is actually targeting at that point. They call targeting for that, but go ahead.
Well, either way, that's going to be a roughing with targeting, but it's still roughing. Okay, so what our guy did is he hit the guy, he's in the air, just like you said, and he comes down. Okay, if in the referee's opinion he is trying to land on him with his weight, then they call roughing. If in the referee's opinion you're trying to stick your hands out, put your knees down, which you're risking injury to do, then they don't call it, or they still can call it. It's a judgment call from there.
Yeah.
And if you notice, until the quarterback rolled over hurt, no flag came out. If you notice that.
That's a good point.
I think it's malicious or intentional, but the referee's opinion, apparently, he did land on him with his body weight. So it's a judgment call. So that's where people get mixed up there.
Yeah.
The other thing is, in the end zone, when Bryce Young, when everybody thinks that's a safety, he was shot down when he threw the ball.
Right.
Well, if they called him for grounding, it would be a safety. But the ball hit a Texas player in the head. If somebody touched it with their finger, it would be deflected. They can't say what the ball would do from there. So that's why it was not intentional grounding.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks for the call, Garrett. That's a good job by you. Some people will say, though, that your take gets kind of diminished a little bit when you say our guy and we. But I get you. I feel you. I know what you're saying. I know you're right on the intentional grounding, but there was no doubt he was just trying to get that ball out of his hand. But you can't get inside a player's area. Can't get inside the guy's inside their head, I should say. You can't get inside their brain. All right, coming up next, Joey Blackwell, BamaCentral.com, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. After just one game of the 2022 NFL season, the Cowboys are left with a huge void. Quarterback Dak Prescott expected to have surgery today on his injured right thumb. A pin and plate will be inserted into the area to stabilize the joint. He is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. Prescott was hurt in the 19-3 loss to the Buccaneers, hit the hand of Bucs linebacker Shaq Barrett while throwing a pass. The Cowboys will go with Cooper Rush as their starting QB beginning Sunday versus the Bengals. Steelers linebacker TJ Watt, believed to have suffered a torn pectoral muscle in the overtime win against the Bengals. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, he is scheduled to undergo scans today to confirm that diagnosis. Quarterback Russell Wilson makes his Broncos debut against his former team, the Seahawks, tonight on Monday Night Football. Main broadcast 8 Eastern on ESPN TV with the Manning cast on ESPN2.
local sports is covered right here.
Well, appreciate what you guys do for sports, but also for high school sports and taking time to talk to us. That means a lot, and appreciate what you guys do and appreciate you having us on.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Saturday in the SEC, Auburn opening as a 3-point underdog at home against number 22 Penn State, 48.5 the total. Alabama down to number 2 in the latest AP poll this week will host Louisiana Monroe. The Crimson Tide a 49-point favorite, the over-under at 60. The Braves a minus 185 moneyline favorite tonight at the Giants at plus 155, the over-under at 7. The Braves trying to avoid a third straight loss. Broncos and Seahawks kick off Monday Night Football for the 2022 season tonight. The Broncos a 6.5-point favorite in Seattle, 44 the total. Red Hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect mostly sunshine. High temperatures topping out in the mid to upper 70s for the afternoon. And it looks like it's going to be a dry day as well. For your Monday night, a clear sky. Low temperature is going to be falling into the mid and lower 50s for the overnight. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Nick Saban Show.
We talk about finishing. That's like the number one word.
To Alabama football.
Touchdown, Alabama!
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Follow the Tide right here. Hi, this is Chris Stewart of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Your home of all things Bama is 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Roll Tide.
You need to be more like a dog. Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about. Be a dog. God bless the show. You are the Messiah. We need more dogs. This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live. Here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 on an Overreaction Monday in the Doghouse. This segment of the show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. North Alabama Mortgage, they can help you get pre-approved. Forget about being pre-qualified. Everybody gets pre-qualified. Pre-approved means that you are ready to close. So when you go in there and you're looking to buy a property in this competitive or in this competitive environment, what you do is you go in and you say, here's my offer, and we're pre-approved. We're ready to close as soon as you're ready to close, and that will help your offer get accepted. So make sure you get pre-approved approved now. Also is a great time to refinance as well. Get yourself locked into these rates now and pull some of that cash out of your property so that you can do the improvements that you want to do, or pay for whatever other type of expenses that you would have. You can get that all done with North Alabama Mortgage. Brian Hammerker and his team, they do such a great job there, and they're so involved in our community. They bring you Auburn, or check that, Army football. They also, bring you Madison Academy football, and they bring you a lot of things. That's what they bring you. They do a tremendous job at North Alabama Mortgage. Go to NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. All right, Joey Blackwell joins us now from Bama Central, the Sports Illustrated site for Alabama. He is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Joey, welcome in. How are you?
Doing well, Tom. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So no questions now will be answered until the Arkansas game, right? I mean, that's the way it's going to be. It's going to be they get ULM and Vandy at home the next couple of weeks. The expectation will be that they will pound those people no matter what, Jermaine Burton does, no matter what anybody else does. It'll be no questions are answered until Arkansas. Am I lying?
No, I don't think you are. I think that, what we have going on here is it's a great opportunity for Alabama to kind of hit the reset button. Obviously, they came out of the gate swinging against Utah State in week 1. And as we all know, this past weekend was not what a lot of people expected to happen at Texas. So I think it's a great opportunity for them kind of smash that reset button, kind of get a lot of the kinks ironed out. Hopefully, come out and travel to Arkansas and have a strong performance there.
I anticipated it being a tough start. I thought that it would be rough in the first half, and I said that this game could be close at the half, and I anticipated Alabama would pull away in the second half. They never really did pull away in the second half, although they get the win. But it was a telling thing that, 3 false starts, I think, in the first series. It took a minute for the offense to settle down. But even when they stopped committing penalties on offense, they committed 10 penalties on defense, that part was kind of disturbing because that wouldn't be crowd-oriented. That's discipline-oriented.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have Will Anderson committing multiple offside penalties and a personal foul, which is, very against his nature. He's normally one of the most level-headed guys out there on the Alabama defense. But even, like you said, the crowd noise doesn't necessarily get to defense just because it's typically quiet when the defense is on the field and the home offense out there at work. So that was just a frustrating thing. They came within one penalty overall of tying their program record, which was all the way back in, I think, 1995 against Georgia. So not a very disciplined performance for Alabama. But like I said, I'm sure Nick Saban's after them in practice, and these next 2 weeks will be a good way for them to kind of get that discipline in check.
Do you think was Will Anderson serious when he said he was thinking about the NFL rule when a guy got up off the ground after he fell and then he had to hit him to not come in? Was he serious or was he being sarcastic about that?
I think he was being sarcastic. I mean, the guy was on his knee, the whistle been blown. I don't think Will Anderson is. I mean, he's one of the most present guys on the field. His head is always there. I don't think he ever got distracted by that. I think that was just him kind of maybe ribbing a little bit, but that would be surprising if that were actually the case.
It would seem to be that maybe there was some frustration with him as well because, it's taken until the middle of this game or the second half of this game before he got his first sack. Are offenses doing anything to him to kind of create that scenario, or is it, has there been something in his play that's been off a little bit?
Well, we've seen a lot of double teaming, and we've seen a lot of backs that are used as blockers assigned to him specifically, which we saw that last year. But even more so, I mean, Will Anderson was he was already on everybody's radar last year, but it's even more so this year. I mean, this guy is widely regarded as the best defensive player in college football for a reason, and when you have that status, you're going to get double teamed, and you're going to have teams that are preparing for you all week. It worked very well with Utah State, and it worked really well with Texas. So it was good to finally see him get a sack, but this is definitely not the start that Alabama fans expected to see from him at this point in the year already.
By my count, it seemed like they called 17 runs. I know they had 24 running plays in the game, but that's 7, and there's 7 scrambles included in there with Bryce Young. And I don't think that they didn't run them really on an option type look or anything like that, where they specifically called it. And 46 pass plays were run. Was it surprising to you that they weren't running the ball more? Because it seemed like, I know that there were a lot of stuffs in there, but they also popped one for 81 yards, and they also had some others that were pretty good runs. And that's kind of the way, the running game works is it's cumulative. You beat on somebody, beat on them, and all of a sudden you start breaking some of these free. Did it seem like the play calling was a little curious?
Yeah, it definitely was to me. The run was not incredibly effective, but it was, relatively effective. You did have, it seemed like every time Alabama ran the ball, they were able to get 2 or 3 yards, which if you can get 3 yards of play guaranteed, you're going to win every game you play. So that was, it was really kind of funny because the first week against Utah State, we saw a really balanced offense with the rushing yards and passing yards separated by mere, I think it was only 2 or 3 yards difference between the two in games. And then this week was very lopsided. So Texas has a very strong defensive front, though. It's a very underrated defensive front, so no doubt that had a heavy impact. And with a slow start, they ran the ball seemingly a lot more in the first half. So with that slow start, maybe there was a game plan change at halftime, and that's why we saw a lot less carries.
Is Eli Ricks still on this team? Is he playing much or what? I mean, why aren't I hearing his name at all? Yeah, I feel like we're about to start putting his face on milk cartons pretty soon. He hasn't exactly been around. But, this cornerbacks room competition is something that Nick Saban's still been talking about. He talked about it all last week. It's still up in the air. We're seeing a good bit from Kool-Aid McKinstry and Kyrie Jackson, as well as a couple others like Terry and Arnold. But it really hasn't been, it hasn't been as dominant of a defensive back room as a lot of people expected. We also seen a lot from Jordan Battle, but in the defensive backs. But it really hasn't been as dominant as we thought. And since the competition is so tight, that really we thought that would be a good thing, but really it might not be a good thing. That means no players are sticking out in particular, and apparently Eli Ricks has been in that same boat of not really be able to create much separation between himself and the other cornerbacks. Well, talking about not creating much separation, it seems like the wide receivers are unable to create much separation either. And we heard about this ad nauseum during the broadcast. I've been saying all day that, Joel Klatt, I think he had one note in his notes going into the game, and it was that Alabama can't take the top off of the defense. With their wide receivers. Having said that, it does kind of seem like they can't take the top. There isn't a lot of speed out there, but the lack of involvement by the wide receivers, that's got to be a little bit of a concern. No, it definitely is. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs was the leading receiver this week, which we thought was going to be the case. We thought he was going to be a dominant pass catching back, but I believe I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Alabama has had a gain over 30 yards to any of their wide receivers so far this year. The deep ball definitely hasn't been there. They really haven't been successful in the passing game altogether. I mean, Bryce Young is able to get the ball to his target, but as far as massive gains or any sort of consistency in the wide receivers, that's been an issue. And we've heard Nick Saban talk about that over the course of August in fall camp. That was something that he wanted from his wide receivers was more consistency and. They have a couple of weeks now to figure that out, but the passing attack is going to be crucial when they travel to Arkansas. And if they're not able to get that under control and have a more balanced offense, that could be a real big problem for this team in a hurry. It seems to be that Kobe Prentice is continuing to come on. He did have 4 catches, albeit all short balls for the most part, but at least, Bryce Young is looking in his direction. I guess I'm expecting a little more out of Ja'Cory Brooks. He had 3 catches for 33 yards in this game. And at Jermaine Burton, everybody just assumes that every time you bring in these transfers that, Jermaine Burton, he's going to be just like Jameson Williams. No, he's not. Apparently he's not. 2 catches for 10 yards. That's the one to me that is the most curious. Yeah, I did like what I saw from Ja'Cory Brooks. They didn't utilize him until late in the game. It was very similar to the Iron Bowl in a lot of ways, this game. And you utilized Ja'Cory Brooks late, and he came in there as really clutch on that last drive, the last couple of drives for Alabama. And Jermaine Burton, he's a guy that's similar to Eli Ricks, and we're wondering when this guy's going to show up and when he's going to show out. And that just hasn't been the case so far. But he's still getting used to the offense. We saw him, of course, be pretty effective against Utah State. We heard that he was doing really well and was Bryce's primary target in fall camp. But I think a lot of these offensive problems from this past week stem from. I think this is a very underrated Texas defense. I think they were a little bit disrespected over the past couple weeks. So that being said, I mean, there's a reason they're now ranked. They weren't ranked last week, and after their performance against Alabama, I'd like to see how many teams have gone from unranked to ranked after a loss. But that was the case with Texas, and I think people are going to start to take them more seriously, and maybe some of these head scratchers will make more sense as the season goes on. Well, look, Quinn Ewers, unfortunately for them, he's out now for the next 3 or 4 games. But, I mean, he was 9 of 12 for 134 yards when he's in there, and he had hit a couple of deep balls and had a couple of other guys that were, downfield where, Alabama was getting beat deep. You wonder, look, it's all part of the game, obviously, and apparently it's part of every game that Alabama plays with Texas now is you knock the starting quarterback out. But you got to say they were having some success with that guy, and he doesn't go out on that play, which I have been vocal about it. I thought the flag was for intentional grounding. I didn't think it was for roughing the passer. But he goes out on that play. He doesn't go out in that game. That complexion could be a little different.
No, I completely agree. People have been questioning the validity of, if Colt McCoy hadn't gotten hurt for years, but I don't think there really should be any question about Quinn Ewers going down and how that impacted the game. I think if he had been able to stay in the game, he was very effective early on and gained a ton of ground. Now, the questions around the the roughing the passer penalty, there's definitely some question marks there. I don't believe that was pass interference, but regardless, his injury definitely had an impact on the game. And if he had been able to stay in, we might be talking about an Alabama loss this morning.
Yeah, and Hudson Card didn't play terrible. He was 14 of 22. So, all day long, they're 23 of 34 for 292 in the game. Don't throw a touchdown pass, but they do. They take 3 sacks. But you got to figure that others are looking at that and trying to build that formula. On the other hand, they did a great job defensively on Bijan Robinson. I mean, that kid had just 57 yards on 21 carries, and one of them was an 18-yarder. So you take that out, and he averaged less than 2 yards per carry. The run defense seems to be in great shape right now because that's as good a running back as there is in the country.
Yeah, that was one of my positive takeaways. One of the few positive takeaways from this past weekend was Alabama's run defense looks really, really solid. Bijan Robinson is obviously one of the top running backs in the country, and deservedly so. And if you're able to hold him 57 yards, and not just him, but hold the entire running back room to 79 total rushing yards, I mean, that's a really solid performance. They had very similar numbers against Utah State. So that's one area that they're showing some consistency is against the run. So I'm going to be interested to see how they stack up against some of the talented running backs in the SEC. But if they can perform that solidly and force opposing offenses to remain one-dimensional, have to heavily rely on the passing, and that's going to set up some picks. That's going to set up a lot of positive momentum for this defense moving forward.
If you had an AP vote, would you be one of the ones that voted? I mean, it wasn't close, by the way. I mean, Georgia 53 first-place votes to Alabama 9. I mean, that's a lot of votes changing hands from where it was last week and certainly where it was at the beginning of the season. If you had a vote, though, would you have been in that crowd putting Georgia number 1?
Absolutely. I was actually having a conversation with some coworkers. Let's see, I guess it was Saturday night, so way before the AP poll came out. And not only would I have moved Georgia to 1 based off of their first 2 weeks, but I also would have ranked Texas. So I was very excited to actually see Texas up in the top 25 because I thought that was a less likely thing to happen. But maybe I should get an AP vote. We'll have to wait and see. Check on that one later.
Last week, Alabama had 44 first-place votes, and Georgia had 17. And this week, that went to Georgia getting 53 and Alabama only having 9. I mean, it's not quite how it would be off of a loss, but it's almost how it would be off of a loss. I don't know how far they would have fallen, but they were 20.5-point favorites. I mean, it wasn't like, okay, you're playing a Texas team and it was a 3-point game and going in and all that stuff. They were considered, but then later we see what happens at Notre Dame. We see what happens at Texas A&M. We see what happens at Nebraska. Auburn struggled with San Jose State. All of a sudden we realize that this was one of them goofy weekends maybe in college football.
Yeah, it was a wild weekend. I was checking scores all throughout the game with Wisconsin also, I believe. I think they lost to Washington State.
They did. They lost to Washington State. Yeah, they were a big favorite over Washington State.
Yeah, I was watching all those crazy games, and I was like, well, maybe there was just something in the water this weekend because Alabama wasn't the only top 25 team that struggled. So maybe the A&M loss will at least have Texas fans going to bed happy despite the loss.
Crazy stuff. All right, Joey Blackwell's been our guest. Joey, we appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom.
Tennessee 15 in the AP, 16 in the coaches poll after their win. They get a good win there, which cost me and beat the big dog because it was 6.5 was the line in that game. And I took Pitt with the 6.5. It turns into an overtime game. So with the extra point, Tennessee covers that one. I had the half a point, but it's a good win for Tennessee in that game. And let's see. Now we'll see whether or not Tennessee can maintain that as well. Kentucky is all the way up to number 9 in the AP. Arkansas number 10. So 4 of the top 10 in the AP poll are SEC teams. So it's not like anybody else is, going out there and impressing people. All right, let's get a break. When we come back, John Samuel Schenker will join us on Auburn's victory over San Jose State as they look ahead to Penn State next, right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? 2 Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Organizations using Salesforce know how powerful the platform is and how much time, money, and headaches it saves if it's set up right and you know how to use it. Let's face it, Salesforce is complicated and time-consuming to figure out, and a lot can go wrong now and down the road without expert help. That's why most Salesforce users work with an implementation partner like Higher Echelon, so they get the absolute most out of their Salesforce investment. Higher Echelon is a 5-star Salesforce consulting partner who won Salesforce Military Hiring Partner of the Year. President Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets. He puts that experience to good use at Higher Echelon, where they pride themselves on hiring veterans. Look, not all Salesforce partners are the same. Don't put your company at risk by going with an inferior partner. Higher Echelon is the trusted partner you can count on to get you up and running and seeing returns on your Salesforce investment in a fraction of the time it would take if you go it alone. Go to higherechelon.com. That's HIGHERECHELON.com to learn more. Go higher and go Army.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-Sparky.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for their 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers their members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including college football and the NFL. They've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest European slots, and their live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. Sign up at BetUS.com and use the promo code WZZN. That's BetUS.com and the promo code WZZN.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
AVIQ. Who is AVIQ? AVIQ is audiovisual the intelligent way, where we put our IQ to work for your AV needs. With more than 100 years combined experience in audio, video, and automation, our team of experts is dedicated to one thing, helping you discover technological solutions that make your home special. Once you experience a game or a movie on one of our state-of-the-art home theater systems, you may never leave the house again. AVIQ can build the entire system for you or provide the quality components if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But AVIQ is more than just home theater and state-of-the-art sound systems. We offer a variety of control options for home technology. Energy efficiency, heightened security, and improved quality of life are all attainable through the automation of home systems. Intuitive and user-friendly control is our main priority in designing a system that meets your needs. Don't just take our word for it. You need to see it to believe it. Come visit us at our state-of-the-art showroom on University, just east of Jim and Nick's, across from AT&T, or visit aviqhsv.com.
Kerry Rosenblum here with Rosenblum Realty, and we appreciate our MA family. Football season is back again, and we're here for your real estate needs. We've been also doing rental properties for many years. You may have a home that you need to lease out. You don't need the headaches. You need somebody to take care of it, make sure the repairs are done, keep the rent coming in, and screen the tenants. We can do all that for you at Rosenblum Realty, where we do property management services, or you can find a good home to rent as well. Call us at 256-539-9501. Put our years of experience to work for you.
Thom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Live local shows.
Hello.
Live local play-by-play.
Oh, now's a good time to check the radio.
Plus, the power of ESPN Radio. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. This is the Thom Abraham Show with the Auburn Tigers captain, tight end John Samuel Schenker.
Wide open in the end zone. Touchdown. John Samuel Schenker. Touchdown, Auburn.
Presented by Valley Equipment Rental.
Yes, it's why they call it God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside getting baptized in holy water and shining.
This segment of the show is brought to you by Valley Equipment Rental. With their 2 locations now, Valley Equipment Rental can serve all of the Tennessee Valley, whether you're a contractor or a homeowner. They can help you get it done at Valley Equipment Rental. They got more skid steers, they got more lifts, they got more excavators than anybody in the market. But they also have those small tools that you need as well. You can get your job done with Valley Equipment Rental, and certainly Ross Roberts and his team. They do such a tremendous job there, and they also bring us John Samuel Schenker each and every Monday here on a Reaction Monday. And Schenk is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. John Samuel, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. 3 catches, 39 yards, and 3 penalties in a game. I mean, come on now, man. Look, if you can see the guy from behind, you don't push him in the back, okay? I mean, just saying.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The first 2 were crap, but they called them, so.
Yeah. It is kind of weird now. When you say the first 2, which were the first 2? Was that the block below the waist, or the holding call, or the block in the back?
Yeah. So the first one was the block below the waist, and that rule. So if I'm in the tackle box, which I was, I'm able to block below the waist. Well, the back ref somehow thought that I was outside the box. And so he called me for that one. And then the block in the back, the guy was on the ground, and I was behind him, and they called that one. So,
the block.
It is what it is.
Yeah, the block below. I hate the block below the waist rule. I mean that's blocking to a certain extent. I mean, look, as defensive guys, they work a lot with the big ball. They work a lot on protecting their legs. I mean, you take away that block, and that makes it awfully difficult, especially, too, if you're going up against, now you're a good-sized guy, but if you're going up against some of these bigger guys, I mean, that makes it very difficult.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder. Normally, no, I agree with some of the rules that we have made on protecting players, but that rule is not meant to. That block's not meant to hurt anybody. That's just to slow the guy down. A big guy that maybe have a full head of steam, that it just slows him down. And but they caught it, so it is what it is.
What do you think about when they cut you? You know what I mean? Like some DB weighs 185 pounds, sees this tight end bearing down on him, and they used to, I know when I coached, we used to say, go ahead and cut that guy down. Or it's a pulling guard that's 350 pounds or 320 pounds, and he comes out there on the corner, and the corner used to take him down, and they can't do that anymore. So what do you think about that? You got to protect yourself a little bit too.
Yeah, I understand that to an extent, but at the same time, like, if you're a 180-pound DB, what are you supposed to do with a 335-pound guy coming at you? That's a pretty tough position for that guy to be in. So they're just doing stuff, I think, to try and protect players, but sometimes it takes away from the game. Like, it's hard to really do anything. Pass interference is a big one. Things like that. It's getting harder and harder to play the game, and it's supposed to be played.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. John Samuel Schenker with us here. Now, you had some big catches in this game, especially on the drive for your first touchdown in the second quarter. You catch I think you caught a 10-yarder on 4th and 4. Do you know going in, was that play designed for you, or were you one of the options on that play, the 4th and 4 play, when you get the 10 yards in the first down?
Yeah, I'm just an option, so I think that was actually a rollout, but he had pressure in his face, and I felt the pressure coming, so I just turned my head around to become available to him at that point, and just try to make something happen, and I was able to get the first down.
And then you had the 20-yarder on that drive, right? That takes it down to the 7-yard line and sets up the touchdown. And I'm thinking that, well, here's a plan. Throw the damn ball to 25 and drive down the field. You know what I mean? And because that must have been nice on that 20-yarder.
Yeah, that was a good drive. I guess I tried to redeem myself for all the penalties I gave up. Yeah, might as well do something useful today. But yeah, no, that was a good drive. We just kind of found ways to make things happen on that drive, and we needed some momentum because we were playing really bad in the first half, just sloppy ball, and so we needed that really bad.
You talk about that. Let's talk about that. San Jose State. You were 23-point favorites in the game going in. You talked about how you felt about opening day. It's one thing opening day. Now you got to play another game like this. And, of course, you got a huge one this week. The whole country will be watching CBS, the whole 9 yards against Penn State. I think we'll see a completely different type of effort out of Auburn for that game. But we also saw Appy State walk into College Station and dump Texas A&M. We saw Marshall go into Notre Dame and win that game. We saw Georgia Southern go into Nebraska, get the coach fired up there. We're seeing more and more of these types of things happen, and just mentally, I know that it's a game, and you only get 12 shots at this in the regular season, and everybody thinks, well, you're going to be up and you're going to play your best and everything, but emotionally, it's still got to be tough, right? It's got to be a little bit hard leading up to it when you know it's a team that you're a big favorite over.
Yeah, so in college, it's different than pros. All of us in college, whether people think or not, we're amateurs, right? And they're still, these kids are mostly 18 and 22. So when you come off of week one, everybody's amped up, ready to go. It's time to play football, week one. That wears off that second week, especially for young guys. And I think that's what you see happen is think about Texas A&M, the young team. I don't know about Nebraska. I don't know much about them. But Notre Dame as well. And you get teams like that, it just wears off quickly. And if you're not playing a greater opponent, then you're not going to be ready. Notre Dame's not playing Ohio State, they're playing Marshall. Okay, we'll play this game, and it catches up with you because in college anybody can beat anybody on any day. So you got to be ready to play, and we were very fortunate to come out with the win because we definitely did not play up to the standard that we needed to play.
Well, I remember that's when we would always tell guys, they got scholarships too over there. You know what I mean? It's not that they, and they come all the way across the country and so on. But I think that's one of the things that you learn, right? Is as you play 2 or 3 of these games a year, you realize that, yeah, it's different because, in the SEC, it just means more, you know what I'm saying? So it's different here in the SEC. But on the other hand, these kids, A, they can play, these guys, they're still players. And two, when they get a chance to show out against an SEC team, they want to, for them, this is a circle game. This is like one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game on their schedule. So, if you're not careful, you're going to get bit in the butt.
Yeah, that's why they're so dangerous. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, for some of those teams, that's their Super Bowl. They get to play in a stadium that, growing up, they wish they played at. Obviously, they love their school, but that's a big deal for those teams coming in, and they have nothing to lose. Like, why not play as hard as you can and try and beat them? So, yeah, it's a very dangerous, very slippery slope if you fall down it. Because once the game starts and if your attitude towards that game is just kind of nonchalant, it's too late. You've already made the mistake, and, you might suffer the consequences 3 hours later.
John Samuel Shunker with us here talking about Auburn's win against San Jose State. And now Penn State comes in, and they come in off of a win. They're 2-0. You're 2-0. You went up there last year. Now you play, because you play in the SEC, you walk in 100,000 seat stadiums and have to play games and so on. But you went up there last year. You guys got beat 28-20. You had 5 catches in that game. I think 69 yards receiving in it. Just talk about what it was up there, though, in their atmosphere, and how, you guys would love to see your own fans now create that kind of atmosphere in your building, even though their building's a little bit bigger than what you got.
Yeah, and it's such a unique game, right? I don't think this will, in our lifetime, Penn State will not be back in Auburn. Like, it doesn't happen often. Going up there to play in a whiteout, that's that's something that's like really like, that's something you check off your bucket list to do. So yeah, and it's a special feel, going up there. I would say it was an SEC environment. I thought it would be a little bit louder, I'll be honest. But it was loud. It was a great environment. Obviously we didn't win the game, and we felt like, they took that one away from us. We played well in the first half, not great in the second half in that game. But, this is one we've had circled on our calendars as well, the guys that played in the game last year. What an opportunity to have them come to our house to show them the SEC environment and how things work down here.
Yeah. No, that'd be huge. The quarterback situation, even on the depth chart, it said or. And a lot of people looked at that and said, ooh, what's that all about? It's a TJ Finley or Robbie Ashford. TJ played the first series. Robbie played the second series, threw that interception. But he also had 7 runs in the game for 64 yards. So he showed off his legs a little bit, too. Do you guys on the offense, would you like this to be settled? It was just like, okay, let's saddle up somebody and go with it. Or are you okay with the 2-quarterback system?
I'm fine with it as long as it helps us win football games. That's the biggest point. I think the QBs are understanding that now is, we might have Robbie and TJ in every single game plan just based on what the defense gives us. But that's for the purpose of winning the football game. It has nothing to do with, who we think's the starter. It's what's best for Auburn to win the football game, and I'm fine with it if it helps us win the game, because that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like nobody questions it with the tight ends, right? You're playing, Luke Deal is playing. He gets a lot of snaps. You're out there starting and getting the lion's share of it. The targets are more going to go to you, but nobody really talks about it on those other type positions. It's like, yeah, it makes sense that you and Luke will split the game. But with quarterbacks, people don't like to talk about that as much.
Yeah, and it's I guess a lot of times it doesn't happen because you want guys to get in the groove, as people say, and things like that. But if you handle it the right way, and TJ takes probably the majority of the snaps, it's not like he's really right. Sharing complete 50-50. And Robbie just brings a different style of the game. He can run, he can still throw the ball, so it's not a true Wildcat situation, and I think that can cause problems for a defense.
when you are going in and out, who's making those decisions? How much of that is you? Do you often, I mean, because you strike me as a guy that really don't want to come off the field. But is there times when you need a blow and boom, you'll wave Luke in? Can you do that? Or is it strictly on the coach's call as to who's going to be in what package?
That's normally coach's call throughout the week on what certain plays that maybe Luke does better or I do better. We'll get called in. Tyler Fromm as well. Brandon Frazier, he had a catch this weekend. Like, some things are just play specific for guys that we saw during the week that they do a really good job at. And then majority of the plays will go to Luke and myself. But normally, yeah, I mean, I haven't been waved out yet for like being exhausted. The first game I got pretty tired, but it'd take a lot for me to be taken out from being tired. Like I'd have to really be struggling for that to happen.
Take a lot of pride in your blocking. I mean, you know that you're going to catch 3, 5, 6 balls a game, but then there's those other, 45 plays, 50 plays that you might be in there and that are running plays and things like that. Is that something that's important to you, is to make sure that you can get that done well as well?
Yeah, it really is. And these first 2 weeks, I haven't felt like I've done a great job of that. So that's something I'm focusing on this week, is just getting back to doing that the way that I'm used to. It's just been not up to my standard. So, but yes, that's something we take great pride in, because normally we're setting edges for the running backs and things like that. And then on the perimeter as well, blocking DBs and stuff on bubbles and swings and things like that. So, yeah, the tight ends can do a lot, but we also need to take great pride in blocking to let these athletes make plays.
What does this Penn State defense look like to you?
They're very similar to last year. Now they got a new DC, Manny Diaz from Miami. He's there now. So, but they play a lot of man. They trust their back end guys. They got Joey Porter Jr. He's really good. He's a corner. So they play a lot of man, and then they have your typical Big Ten linebackers, big guys. They'll hit you downhill. And then they have a good D-line as well, which normally Penn State does. So not much different than last year as far as personnel, in my opinion. But they're definitely a physical bunch, that's for sure.
Seems like they're kind of aggressive. I mean, when you get out there in that nasty split and you're in that 2-point and you're reading that blitz, I mean, it would seem like there's opportunities for them to pop the ball to you and maybe do some damage, run after catch if everybody's reading that the same way.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'm sure that'll be part of the game plan. And, you got to win your one-on-one, especially, I mean, we're in the SEC, and that's what most teams do. You got to win those one-on-one balls. So that's not new really for us. But we're getting into big boy ball now. We won the first two. San Jose State was a good football team. We found a way to win, but now we're getting into the meat of the season.
It's a different vibe around the room. When you guys come in on Sunday and then you start getting looking at this, is it all of a sudden just feel different? Like I say, CBS 2:30 feature game, Penn State, Big Ten coming to your house, all of that kind of stuff. Does it just change the vibe?
I think for some of the younger guys, it does. We tried our best to emphasize the importance of every game. Because we saw last year that, any week you can lose any game. So that was a big piece. We tried to harp on as much as possible. Some young guys just, haven't understood that yet. But, yeah, everyone's going to be amped up this week. If you're not amped up this week, then, there's a problem. This is, you come to Auburn for games like this. So I think the guys are excited.
Did you get a chance to enjoy any of the NFL action yesterday?
I watched the Cowboys or the Cowgirls last night, I guess.
Guess so.
Played last night. So I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm glad the Steelers they managed to somehow win it after giving it away there. But we don't have a lot of time, but normally I like to watch the Sunday night game, time for me to relax.
See, I'm a Browns fan, so I'm watching that Steelers Bengals game, and I don't know who I remember kept turning to my sons on. I'm like, I don't even know who I want to win this game or who I want to lose this game, So, but I think ultimately it was good to see the Steelers tag the Bengals. I don't like the Bengals. They think they're something that they're not, so that was good. I'm glad the Steelers were able to get that fixed. Although your boy T.J. Watt, what do they call it, a torn pectoral or something like that he might be out for a while.
Yeah, if it's that, it's not good. He is a beast. We need him bad. So hopefully it's not too terribly long. But yeah, it didn't sound good.
You know, Joe Burrow is born and bred a Browns fan, and they showed pictures of his room before the draft, and he had all Browns and Cleveland Indians stuff, and his father is a big Browns fan, and he had to put those stupid stripes on of the Bengals. Well, how would you feel if you got drafted by like the Ravens? You know what I mean? Or if you got drafted by the Browns, you know, or something like that. As a Steeler fan, do you ever think about that? What if you got drafted by one of your rivals?
I wouldn't care, if I'm being honest.
You wouldn't care?
No, not at that point. You know, it really wouldn't matter to me if somebody wanted me to play for them. So, I mean, yeah, I'd be like, dang, I've been a Steelers fan, you know, for a long time now. But when it comes to playing, I want to play in the NFL, and if it means playing for the Ravens, then it's playing for the Ravens.
Who was your team in college football growing up as a kid? I mean, did you always want to go to Auburn, or did you want a Georgia fan? What were you?
Well, I grew up in Georgia, but Auburn was actually closer than Athens from where I live. So I grew up going to a lot of Auburn games. And I grew up an Auburn fan. Wanted to come here for baseball originally, and then decided football instead. So always really been an Auburn fan.
Braves fan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big Braves.
Yeah. Big year for the Braves last year.
Yeah, big year last year, and then who knows? Still, yeah, there you go. Still could be a big year this year as well.
Yeah, they're making a run right now.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they dropped the last two, which slipped them back a game and a half again, or game and loss column behind the Mets. But they'll be dangerous. They'll be dangerous in the playoffs, I'm sure.
Yep, for sure.
All right, man. Well, have a great game this week. 6 catches, no penalties. And if John Samuel Schenker has 6 catches in this game, that means you won the football game. That's what I think. I think they got to get you the ball at least 6 times, tighten up things so they can go downfield, loosen up those backers so they can run the ball, and you do that by throwing it to 25 over the middle. And so there you go. So just take that back. Tell Harsin I said that, and then just, you know, I'm sure he'll implement that.
Yeah, I'll relay the message.
Yeah, do that, will you? Relay the message. All right, brother. I appreciate you. Have a good game.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yeah, just relay that message. Got to loosen up the linebackers by hitting the tight end over the middle. It does 2 things. Loosens up the linebackers, brings the safeties up so you can throw the ball over the top. I mean, come on. This isn't rocket science here. It's football. Let's get a break. When we come back, I made all these notes about yesterday. Yesterday was incredible. I made all these notes about yesterday. I haven't even mentioned it because I knew this would happen. We would just lock and load for 2 hours on nothing but the college football. But they did play in the NFL yesterday, and it was pretty spectacular. So we'll come back, give you a little of that. Phone lines go open one more time. I told you it would be tough with the phone lines. You want to jump in, you can do it, 256-576-4977 on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Your playoff-bound Rocket City Trash Pandas start their final homestand of the regular season on Tuesday as they take on the Birmingham Barons. This week's promotions include Hispanic Heritage Night on Tuesday, Huntsville Stars Throwback Night on Thursday, and Huntsville Havoc Night on Friday. Get your tickets while they're still available at TrashPandasBaseball.com.
Let's rock it.
The Huntsville Sports Commission, a not-for-profit organization, is driven by the love of sports. And we're excited to announce several events already planned for this fall, including the Gulf South Conference Soccer Championship, the AVCA Fall Collegiate Beach Championships, the NCAA Division I Regional Cross Country Championship, and the Running Lane Cross Country Championships. For the love of sports, the Huntsville Sports Commission. Find out more at huntsvillesports.org.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of all things football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of the Samsung Bespoke Refrigerator's Beverage Center with internal water dispenser and built-in pitcher with flavor infuser for crisp, refreshing water, making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Final days to save up to $1,201 on this Samsung Bespoke Refrigerator in September 14th. Offer valid August 25th through September 14th. See store or online for details.
Hi, everybody. Eli Gold here. Right now, indoor air quality occupies top-of-mind awareness for families and business owners. Rick Smith and the trusted professionals at Environmental Comfort Systems can take care of your indoor air quality concerns with their state-of-the-art indoor air quality solutions. Environmental Comfort's indoor air quality systems remove 99.9% of airborne contaminants so you and your family can breathe clean, fresh air. If anyone in your family suffers from allergies, or if you just want the security of knowing the air you breathe inside your home is free from viruses, bacteria, pet dander, dust, and odors, Environmental Comfort Systems are the professionals to call. Environmental Comfort also carries state-of-the-art, high-efficiency comfort systems that increase home comfort, keep humidity in check, and help you save money on your energy bills. Give my friend Rick a call or visit them online at envcomfort.com and breathe cleaner air today. Environmental Comfort Systems, Alabama license number 92314.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? 2 Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Waiting was such a mistake. That's one of the things we hear most after we've successfully treated one of our patients for erectile dysfunction. At the Huntsville Men's Clinic, we want you to know first and foremost that waiting is a mistake, because the longer you wait, the more difficult it can be to treat your ED. Using what you've got is important, not just for your relationship, but for your overall health. There's some truth to the phrase, if you don't use it, you lose it. At the Huntsville Men's Clinic, we'll fight for your ability to consistently perform without the anxiety that so many men experience. In fact, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in a long time. We only treat ED and low T at the Huntsville Men's Clinic, and we've successfully treated many men with protocols that are effective in nearly 90% of cases. We also have the full complement of treatments, including acoustic wave therapy, so you get the one that works best for you. So don't wait. Make an appointment. For just $99, you'll get a medical consultation, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. Call today, 256-368-0333. That's 256-368-0333, or go to HuntsvilleMen'sClinic.com.
Do you know that your car or truck or SUV may be worth up to 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and now is the perfect time to trade in and trade up to a gold certified or blue certified pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or crossover. While our new vehicle inventory continues to build back, our Ford Blue Advantage certified pre-owned vehicles are nearing 100 models to choose from, and a good variety too. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles are 6 years or younger with less than 80,000 miles and have passed 172-point inspection by factory certified technicians. They have a 14-day, 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, a great comprehensive limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and go home with full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Get nearly a new ride and none of the worries. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
Listen to Buckhorn High School football all season long.
Landrum down near the goal line, and he's in for the Bucs touchdown.
On 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Sweet Home is brought to you by the Orthopedic Center and the fine docs taking care of Tennessee Valley. Not just athletes, though. Anybody that's been injured or that needs orthopedic help. Maybe you're just aging and you need that. It's the Orthopedic Center that can take care of you. They've been doing it in this town and in this region for over 20 years, and they do a tremendous job. My family has used the docs at the Orthopedic Center. Your family may have used them as well. At some particular point in time, everyone needs the Orthopedic Center. It's just the way it is. And if you don't need them, great. But if you do need them, they are there for you. It's the Orthopedic Center. All right, phone lines are open for the final couple of minutes here. If you want to jump on board, you can do that. It's been a lot of information here. I knew that we would not necessarily get through everything that we had here on a Monday because there's just so much. We spent most of our time on the college football, and I get that. They didn't even really get into Tennessee much. I thought it was an impressive win for Tennessee. Of course, they knocked out a quarterback as well, and Keaton Slovis that probably helped them in that game. But there are some things that Tennessee did that were very, very impressive. I wish this game was being played more. There's this Johnny Majors Classic, if you will. They played it back to back. It's not on the schedule. I looked at the future schedules for the next 10 years. It doesn't mean it can't be on the schedule, but right now it's not on the schedule anywhere in the future. But I think that, certainly Tennessee will win this week against Akron, and then they'll head into the game against Florida. Florida coming up there. They'll be 3-0, and at that point in time, I did not totally buy into Florida after the Utah game. I picked Kentucky in that game. Kentucky went down there and won that football game. Anthony Richardson's still rough around the edges. So we'll see. But that Cedric Tillman, what a beast he is for Tennessee. It's good to see them playing good. The Hyatt kid had 11 catches in the game, but Tillman with 9 catches for 162 yards, just absolutely tremendous in the football game. They still struggle running the ball some, and they don't stop the run well. So I still wonder how they're going to do against top-notch teams. But they'll run a lot of plays, and they'll get up there and chuck it around. They threw it around for 325 yards in that game, but only ran it for 91, so we'll see. What a day yesterday in the NFL. It was incredible. Cowboys fan, and by that I mean the Phillip. Oh, my goodness. Thought we might have heard from him today, but hopefully he's okay. I mean, did somebody take his belt and take his shoelaces? Because Dak Prescott out for half the season now, and you looked anemic with him. Your season's over. Cowboys are done. Week 1, Cowboys are done. While Saquon Barkley, Brian Dable, and the Giants were winning in Nashville yesterday. And Barkley looks to be all the way back, going for 164 yards on just 18 carries and another 35 yards through the air. And that 2-point conversion that Dable called with 1:06 left in the game. Are you kidding me? Of course, if Randy Bullock, the fat kicker that the Titans have, can make a 47-yard kick to win the game, we're not even talking about a different thing. Titans fans are feeling pretty good today about Ryan Tannehill in a game that he played. They held Derrick Henry to just 82 yards on 21 carries. That was a big win for the Giants and a missed opportunity for the Titans. And I made it through this whole thing, and I didn't even talk about Baker Mayfield and how you saw the entire Baker Mayfield package. Sacked, interceptions, touchdown passes. The Browns got the win. All right, coming up next, the Chuck Oliver Show right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.